I'm gonna do it this year, man. I'm gonna be Mr. Olympia 2025.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with the reigning Arnold champion Derek Lunsford, who gave an interview to BTS TV. Now before we talk about that content, I do want to mention for some reason Derek Lunsford gets so much hate. It's kind of unimaginable. And the guy just literally proved himself not too long ago at this past Arnold, Ohio, that he can be the best in the world. He's the reigning Arnold champion who just beat the reigning Olympia champion Samson, and that too very convincingly at this year's Arnold. I mean, he's a former Mr. Olympia champion, and that was just 1 year back. Even the biggest critics of Derek, they said that Derek 100% deserved to win this year's Arnold against Samson. And yes, we get that. Many of us had the mutant winning the Pittsburgh Pro against Derek. But let's just assume for a moment that he was given a gift by the judges at the Pittsburgh Pro. Then why are people constantly hating on him? It's the judges' fault. Neither Nick nor Derek, they made the call. If the fans want to call out someone, it should be the judges. And passing comments like Derek should go back to the 212 class. It's just utterly disrespectful to the only guy in the history of this sport who won both the 212 Olympia title and Men's Open Olympia title. So do let me know, what do you guys think? How come Derek gets so much hate? Now let's get back to Derek's interview and the statement that Derek made, that he's gonna be Mr. Olympia this year. And interestingly, the one comment below that post that got the most likes, that is of the mutant. He did not say anything, he only said one word, okay. But that clearly shows where Nick's mindset is at. And when he says he's gonna be top 3 at this year's Mr. Olympia, whom does he think he's gonna take out? And who does he think is the most beatable guy out of Derek, Hadi and Samson Dauda?
Losing the Olympia was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Even though it was one of the worst things that could happen in your career, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me because it freed me up from being scared to lose, being afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to fail anymore. I know I'm going to keep getting back up and moving forward and staying resilient. I'm just going to keep moving forward, keep moving forward, keep moving forward. That's why I believe without a question I'm going to do it this year, man. I'm going to be Mr. Olympia 2025.
Now, personally speaking, I will never doubt Derek Lunsford, especially after what happened at this year's Arnold, Ohio. The whole vibe in the industry, that was that Samson Dauda, he's gonna win that show hands down, without any doubt. And Derek will only fight for second place. And he made one of the most memorable comebacks that we saw in the recent past in bodybuilding. And the man silenced all of his critics. So the only question that remains is whether Derek can peak 100% again, the way he did for the Arnold, Ohio, at this upcoming Mr. Olympia. Or can he get even better than that? So we saw last year Hadi Chopin clearly failed to bring that same Arnold, Ohio look to the Olympia last year. While Samson, on the other hand, he showed up at his all-time best. Now Derek is a bit different in a sense that he not only did the Arnold, but he also did the Pittsburgh Pro, which was 10 weeks after the Arnold. So if Derek brings his 100%, he will definitely be fighting for this year's Olympia crown. Now all the eyes they are on Samson Dauda though. If he unlocks a whole new level, in terms of conditioning, in terms of detail, it's simply gonna be game over for everyone, no matter how anyone shows up. Next up, we have the most recent physique update from Josema Beast, roughly 14 weeks out of his second Mr. Olympia in Classic. So the prep starts and Josema being a legitimate guy to place somewhere in that top 6 and maybe even higher than that, because there is a chance that even some of the top guys, they might come off. But ever since Josema Beast, he came onto the scene, he made his pro debut, and that was actually in the Men's Open. There hasn't even been a single show where we saw Jose Manuel coming in off. He has always been 100% on the stage. So he was 100% on at this year's Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro, where he placed second behind Terence Ruffin. And kind of too bad, he was up against such a superior Classic guy in terms of that overall shape and the flow. Not to mention Terence's posing and presentation. That is one of the best, if not the best in the Pro League. And I do not really think that Josema Beast could have done anything better, anything more, for this year's Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro. And the major reason for that is the shape of his legs from the front. Now for him to potentially move into that top 5, he will be needing some help from some of these other top guys to come in off a bit. And this can certainly happen. There was only 1 point difference between him and Terrence at the Pittsburgh Pro, because Terrence wasn't 100% on for that show. And Josema Beast kind of exposed him in some areas, especially from the back. But at the same time, when Terrence brought it, his all-time best, at this year's New York Pro, Josema Beast just did not stand any kind of chance, simply because he cannot fight his genetics. And for the people saying that if only Josema Beast had a bit more room to grow for classic physique, his quads maybe could have been a lot better. Well, I'm not so sure about that statement. Because if you look back at his physique from when he was in the men's open, he did not have the most 3D and bubbly looking quads, even back then. But that being said, with Breon and Sebum missing from this year's Olympia lineup, Josema is gonna be right in that first call out. And his back is gonna be one of the best in this year's Classic Physique Olympia stage. Next up, we have an update from 2019 Mr. Olympia champion Brandon Carey, who is currently in Indonesia for his sponsors. And if there is one guy who is gonna be 100% improved in terms of his physique and also in terms of his placings from last year to this year, that's gonna be Brandon Carey. So the way he showed up at this year's Arnold, Ohio, and he secured 4th place among all these young guys and also beating William Bonac, that was a big statement for all of us that Brandon Carey has still got it. He still has what it takes to hold all these young guys off. And that is why I think he's certainly gonna move up from 9th place from last year's Olympia, which was kind of shocking because Brandon went from 4th place to 9th place in a matter of just 1 year. So that coaching change that he made for this year's Arnold, Ohio, that definitely worked in his favor. And although the scorecards that showed that Andrew was obviously in 3rd place, some people had Brandon Carey pushing him very hard for that 3rd place. And some people even had Brandon Carey beating Andrew Jack. So the man is now in his 40s. He is the most experienced IFBB pro in the circuit right now. And for those of you guys who do not know, the man has been competing for 1.5 decades and still counting. Now one cannot expect that Brandon is gonna bring back his Arnold 2019 look after 6 years, especially at his current age. But the different thing about Brandon this year is that he kept on training throughout this year, and even during the off-season, he maintained all of his size, all of his mass, which normally he doesn't do. So this is a factor that is gonna help him in this year's Olympia prep. So if Brandon manages to place in that top 6 one more time, that will be such a huge win for him. Because let's just say, Hardy, Samson, Derek and the Mutant, they are gonna be our top 4. Brandon still has to beat Andrew Jack and Martin Fitzwater to place in the first call out. So let's take a look at that 14 weeks out physique update from Regan Grimes. So Regan has been totally unaffected by Bob's advice to him to sit out of this year's Mr. Olympia because he won't be able to make top 10. He continues to train with a strong conviction that he's gonna be in that top 6 at this year's Mr. Olympia. Now I do not believe any bodybuilding expert they will have Regan in their top 6 Olympia predictions, especially based on the 3 showings that we saw from him this year, and especially his best, that show that he won, California Pro, because that was his best till date. But Regan parting ways with his coach Stefan, that clearly shows that Regan wasn't satisfied with the results. So he decided to do the Olympia with Dom Super Sliced. Now Regan can certainly make some improvements before this year's Mr. Olympia. But if we look back at his career and the rate at which he made all the progress, it has been relatively slower than the likes of Nick Walker, Hunter, Martin and so many others. And they have put on so much muscle mass and they have filled out their frame. But Regan, on the other hand, despite taking 2 years off, he has been unable to do that. And the fact is, you cannot blame him for that. It's just how his genetics are. Not all the guys who are 6 feet tall, they have the ability to grow as fast as Samson Dauda did. Actually, nobody does. So what is gonna work in Regan's favor They are his back shots. His back is 100% worthy of placing top 5 at the Olympia. And that is where he can cover the ground. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video. And smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more.